Hello everyone. This is my Mesmerway or my build guide or walkthrough here. The full in-depth breakdown of kind of my build and the skills that I have on my bar, kind of how each of these 8 skills have earned their place here, and then also the continued breakdown of all the skills on my heroes. So I plan on explaining, breaking down all 64 skills and kind of why I play with them all, and then how I've set up this team over. So I ended up coming back to Guild Wars a few years ago. I played back then. But then I came back a few years ago and worked on this Mesmer, and this is the team that I've landed on, or this is the team that I go with. This is a very, very powerful team. I've done all the content in the. I haven't done some of the raids solo, but I've done everything in the game, so to speak, with this build. And this build is very, very good. I have it set up to where these 7 heroes are strong enough by themselves, so I don't have to even do anything, and I have it set up to where I can use these 7 heroes for anyone I play with on my account, and I just do this setup or something similar to this for each one, and I play the game like that. So this is great. So this might be the longer video with the commentary. I'm just gonna be kind of talking about each skill or going through each one. So this might be the longer breakdown. I'm gonna try to talk more about each skill instead of less about each skill. So that's what I'm going for. I did pick the Mesmer, and I like the energy surge. So when I was looking or taking a look back to get back into the game, there was a lot of talk about Mesmer and energy surge, and just for the fact that it is that good and the fact that it removes the enemy's energy. I do the energy surge and the chaos storm also for the energy removal. Energy, every character, enemy, everything you fight in the game, like really everything you fight, every character, every creature, all has energy. So doing the energy remove is so good. It works against everything. It's which is really good that you need a skill. It works against every enemy. Works in all situations. So the energy removal and then getting the extra damage and the AoE from that energy surge is a very, very powerful skill. It's the elite Mesmer skill. Everyone says this is the most OP skill in the game. For the energy removal, I can definitely see the point, because removing energy from a mob, like we've got our elementals and our avalanche up here. If you go up, they'll be elementals, so they might have more energy. But if you go up and open up with an energy surge against these, and they've got like 40 energy, and you take away 11 energy, they're already starting the fight with only 3. They can only do like 1 or 2 spells, so to speak, until they have to regen more. So doing that energy removal on the enemies is very, very good. Get a little ahead of myself. Might as well start with the elite spell, but energy surge Mesmer is very strong. So I like the 5 mana cost, the 2 seconds, usually only 1 second with your fast casting, so you usually have that 1 second. The 15-minute cooldown. Sometimes when you get to where you've removed all the energy from an enemy, and they don't even have any energy to burn, then the 15-second cooldown is appropriate. They don't have anything, so that's okay. Usually you just kind of spam this one when it comes back up in the rotation, because it's your main skill. It will do the most damage. If the enemy you're fighting is at 0 energy, they can't do any abilities. They can only auto attack. That's good. Then they're in. For most cases, they're in their weakest state, unless they're the warrior or the dervish. If they can only do auto attacks, they can't do any spells. Energy surge is very good for that. Okay. For our empathy, I came back, tried this in the pre-searing and tried it at the start of the game, and I really like empathy for the fact that every single mob, unless they have energy, which if you take away all their energy, then they're only going to be auto-attacking. So if they have no energy, then they're only going to auto-attack, in which case this always works. This is armor ignoring damage also. They just take the flat damage, so it scales up really well. It works against everything. I like that it's the 16 seconds with my 16 domination magic. I usually do this too. Empathy is very good. Once you set up and learn how to use this and learn how to trap a mob to where the mob is just auto-attacking themselves to death, I can use this one ability to kill. This one ability by itself can be enough to kill mobs, just with them auto-attacking themselves to death. It's very good. I like my Cry of Frustration. I kind of wanted to have 1 or 2 interrupts, so I am the Mesmer. I do want to interrupt. I didn't want to do a lot of interrupts because it's hard to interrupt, unless you're kind of interrupting an easy skill or like a long casting skill, it's hard to interrupt enemy mesmers. It is good to make sure you can always have an interrupt for like your elementalists, like your firestorm and your meteor storm. As long as you make sure you have an interrupt for that, those are easier to interrupt, and you do want to get those, which is why I did want to have an interrupt on my bar instead of none. So Cry of Frustration is very good for that. It also is the AoE. Most everything on my bar is the AoE with my setup that I have. With my single target coming through the empathy with them just auto attacking themselves to death. So Cry of Frustration is pretty good. I didn't want to have too many interrupts, because if you use your interrupt and you don't interrupt anything, it's just wasted mana. You wasted the skill, the mana, the time, the cast time, everything. So I didn't want to put my build too reliant on it. But when I do get this, my Cry of Frustration rocks. So I kind of set it up to where I know which one in the, maybe I'm clicking on the monk or I'm clicking on the elementalist, just waiting for them to cast a big spell, and then this will interrupt the entire area. So if you have an enemy caster group that is grouped up, find one caster in that group and find one that you can interrupt, and then you can interrupt the whole group. So that Crash Frustration is very good for that. It's got the pretty low cooldown with the 15, and it comes back pretty quick with your abilities. And the AD damage is pretty good as well. So you don't have a whole lot of things that hit like above 100 in Guild Wars. So AD damage is pretty good. That's a pretty good damage number. Usually my energy surge will be around 90ish damage too with the mana burn, and then they're auto attacking themselves for 60 damage every auto attack. It starts to add up pretty quick. My move like a dwarf. This is one of I use this on almost all my casters because it's the shout. So the shout is off of your cast bar, or you can use this at any time. You can be in the middle of casting empathy and then push the shout, and this is an interrupt because it knocks them down. Knockdown is one of the best CCs in the game, so to speak, because they can't use a whole lot of things when they're knocked down. Sometimes you can use other things while you have CCs, but with knockdown you can't do a whole lot. So knockdown is very good. The crippled is really good. This lets you solo or like run away from any mob. If they're crippled, you can just walk away, especially if you have the birthday cupcake move speed on. Sometimes I've just been able to like kite warriors, and just if something went wrong, or I've just been able to solo warrior just by making them crippled and they can't do anything. So crippled is very good for that in that regard also. So the 10 mana, the 10-second cooldown, and this is the shout, so you can use this at any time. Makes this very good. The move like a dwarf is a very good skill. I like this one on my bar. Chaos Storm, this one is a little controversial with groups. So whenever I was in groups with people, they would ask me to take this off or to not run this skill. This skill will drop kind of like your Firestorm, your Meteor Storm. It drops in a circle on the ground that does AoE and does big damage to groups. Well, it does damage to groups. The 28 damage is pretty okay. It's like the same damage tick as some of your other just damage over time AoEs, which is pretty good in the Mesmer. So instead of having to be an Elementalist with Firestorm, I've kind of got that with the Mesmer and the Chaos Storm, which is cool. It will sometimes make the enemies spread out. Sometimes I want the enemies to spread out. If I've got a lot of warriors or a lot of dervish that have suddenly rushed me or rushed my backline, or I can see that they're on one player, I can drop this Chaos Storm on all of those warriors and make them all spread out. Or I might not want to do that because I want the warriors to stay there, and then I just want to spike and have people spike. So instead of using my Chaos Storm, I won't use the Chaos Storm and just do damage, and then use the Chaos Storm if I see that thing that they're attacking is getting low HP, something like that. So you got to be careful, and you got to know how to use the Chaos Storm. I spent a lot of time with this skill and using the skill, practicing it. I've noticed it does it more in hard mode than normal mode, where it makes enemies, the normal mode enemies are more likely to scatter, in my experience, and then the hard mode enemies sometimes would just tank it. Sometimes will tank it for a little bit while they're casting and then move out. Sometimes they'll still move out, or if they are low HP, you'll cast the Chaos Storm and then they'll get low HP and then they'll run back and heal and then run back in. And you don't want that, but that's definitely what this can cause to happen. So I'll combine my Chaos Storm with my move like a dwarf. So I'll drop my Chaos Storm and then I'll keep doing all my other attacks on them, and then use the move like a dwarf if I see that they're going to move. So if they're already casting, they're not going to move. So if they have a 2-second cast, I'm going to wait to the end of the 2-second cast because they're not going to move out of the Chaos Storm until they're done casting. Then I'll interrupt them and do the knockdown for 1 second. And it's just you can build around this a little bit. The 2 energy removal, having it do the multiple ticks at a time is very good. And is it when it keeps enemy casters at 0 mana or keeps enemies at 0. The energy surge will be really good, or you'll take away 11 energy, but then they are regenning energy, so the enemy will regen up to 5 or 10 mana and then do a spell. If they're in the Chaos Storm, they won't be able to do that, and so they'll just stay at 0 mana. You can drop this on the Monk in their back line, keep the Monk at 0 mana, and they can't do, and that's it. And the Monk can't do any healing. They can just auto attack. So very good, AOE spell. The Mesmer doesn't have a lot of like overtime AoEs like this. I've got my Wastrel's Demise that kind of works like this as well. I didn't like this one had a little bit lower damage and can be dispelled by the enemies, so they can do the hex removal. A lot of the enemies will have hex removal, so I was noticing this was removed all the time. So I like the Chaos Storm for that. Moving to my Unnatural Signet. The Unnatural Signet is very good because you can always use this even if you don't have mana. So I was getting to the point where I would use all my abilities and I'd get my character down into 0 mana, and then I was just auto-attacking. And if my BIP wasn't looking at me at the time and I didn't have mana regen coming in, it just because it wasn't doing anything. So I like my Unnatural Signet where I can always do something. As long as I'm doing my rotation, kind of rotate. You can get to where this does have your domination magic, so you can get the half cast time on this sometimes, where it's every 5 seconds. And you can do the Unnatural Signet and then 1 or 2 other spells. Unnatural Signet, 1 unspell, and then move around. So you kind of get a rotation like that if you're on low mana. This will allow me to like use my character with low mana. So I really like this for that. The reason, so that's really good with the Signet, so there's no mana cost. And then it also has AoE. Most of the time they are enchanted or hexed. So if you read it, it says enchantment also. So if the foe has an enchantment, then it works. If they haven't enchanted yet or it's the start of the fight, then you won't be doing the AoE, but otherwise you're doing the AoE. So this can be very good. It's just kind of free, no mana AoE that you can cast out, like better than just auto attacking. Very good for that. This one, my Technobauble, is what I use to stop the caster groups. With this build or with this hero team, I was noticing, and that's kind of a thing in Guild Wars as well, it's like casters are very strong. Sometimes you go to fight caster bosses or the caster groups, and they will just do a lot of burst on your party. So this can help with that with the daze. So the 40 damage is okay, but that daze where they're interrupted, you can have enemies that will sometimes do a really quick, they'll start the battle and then they'll have a quarter second or half second enchantment or full second enchantment, and this makes it double cast time with the dazed. So I'll try to do on my caster groups, I'll open on a caster group with this daze. The daze also makes it so when they take additional damage, so when my heroes or my my bone minions are going and auto attacking, then they're going to be interrupted. So this daze to stop the casters is just very good, so good. Daze is like the worst condition for casters. I was going through and I was trying to figure out like, okay, if I'm going to attack like a group of Wind Riders, or even like this Frozen Elemental group with an Avalanche, if they get their ability off, I'm going to take a lot of damage. I do have a lot of ways to heal back up and take less damage, but if it's right at the start of the fight, sometimes you'll get exploded before everything really happens. You can start the fight with the Technobabble, and that's how you start and kill caster groups. It's so good. I'll hopefully do a demonstration up here in a minute with this group. And you just open with this, and then you do your E-Surge. So I actually don't even open with E-Surge on the caster groups. I'll open with my Technobabble. I will open it with this on most other cases because I do want to get that energy removal gone. You can hit this on the warrior, and the warrior has a low energy regen, so you can hurt the warriors the most with the energy surge as far as energy is concerned. But the Technobabble for that with the daze for 5 seconds is pretty good. Sometimes that's, if you need to, you can like recast this over again, but usually once you get and you're fighting a caster group, the only reason you die or your group gets exploded is because your spirits aren't up yet, or you're like still like out of position, or they just do 4 of their casters hit you with all their spells at once, and that's just too much damage. That's kind of how you'll die. Once you get the fight going for a little bit, then you're fine. But it's just that intro, and so this is what I figured out to stop that first initial burst, is that daze. So yeah, my Wastrel's Worry. This one is like one of my favorite spells, or this one has had the highest learning curve. So after 3 seconds, Target foe and all adjacent foes take 111 damage. So this is an AoE as long as it goes off. If the enemy uses a skill, if they use an enchantment, if they use a buff or shout, then this will go away. So if they're already in combat, or if they're like a caster, sometimes this doesn't work because they're just like casting. If they get one of their abilities off, then it will remove it. This can be particularly good against casters if you're ready to interrupt the casters, which will come down with the Cry of Frustration and the practice and the Move Like a Dwarf. A lot of times I'll like to do the Wastrel's Worry, and then you like to set up to where you do all the bursts at once so the enemy isn't healed. If you do the burst all at once and you kill them, they can't be healed, and that can be the way you do it. So you do your Wastrel's Worry, and after the 3 second, you got a burst window coming in. So then I'll set up my Energy Surge or my Signet, and then make sure I do the Move Like a Dwarf when it has. So I'll do like Wastrel's Worry, count 1, 2, Move Like a Dwarf when it would be the 3rd second, just to make sure they're knocked down and they're knocked on their feet when this goes off, to make sure they don't start a cast or anything, just to guarantee that 111 damage procs on this. So you can set up combos with cast, and then knock this down, or knock them down at 2 seconds, and then by the 3rd second, because this knocks them down for about a second, they move like a dwarf, and this can help it go off. Really good damage combo. Yeah, nice. So that's my skills that I do. I like to do, so there's backfire. Backfire is one I can switch in. I didn't like the 10 seconds on this one, where you had to like plan for them to be casting in the 10 seconds. I didn't like that I couldn't increase this with the attribute. It's always the flat 10, and then it was the 15 mana, which sometimes is a lot. I didn't like to have too many high mana casting or mana abilities, because I like to kind of go rotate through the build and kind of use all my skills. So that helps with that. But that's where I've landed with this one. All of these are not projectiles. I can cast these on anything that's in range. Anything that's in my little radial range here will work. As far as the way I can deal damage to enemies, as long as it's in range, I can go. I really like spells and casters for that, to where if they're in range, I can they usually can be defeated if they're just close enough. Even if they're below me or above me, if they're in range, we've got some of these down here. If we're up on this cliff, if they come up next to this, they'll still be in range, so we can take them out. So I like that for that reason. For the weapons on this one, I've got the Bone Dragon Staff. You can use the 40-40 set, or I like to do, the staff looks cool. The staff looks cool, so that's why I went with the staff. Mine's only the 11, not the 9, but it's hard to find the 9s. They're so rare and expensive. But I like my Adept and my Aptitude, your 20/20, and then I liked the Soul Reaping. That could be a +1 Domination magic, because it's a staff, you can't do 40-40. So the Soul Reaping works really well here. Once they came out with the Soul Reaping, so I've been playing this build before those were even out, and they had before was it 20 year? Yeah. Before these were even introduced, I was doing this, and my energy was still actually good, and now it's even better with this. With that extra Soul Reaping. So anytime a creature in range dies, I get 5 mana. 3 every 15 seconds. Right here, if you read it. So Soul Reaping, you get 1 energy. Oh, a non-spirit. Okay. Alright, rambling a little bit. Alright. Here's my 40-40 set. So I can use this one if I want to burn more mana quickly or do more damage, because my other one gives me Soul Reaping, so this one is mana regen with that Soul Reaping. The 20/20 gives me a little bit more Steel Recharge, so if I want to do a little bit higher damage burst, I can switch to my 40-40 set. I don't usually need to. This is very good to mention here with the shield, the Anniversary Shield. If you end up on the front lines, or if you end up with a bunch of melee on you, or people attacking you, you can switch this on to do your increased armor, and it gives you the more health as well. And you'll notice that, and the AI is programmed to switch off of you because you got the more armor. So even if you have low health, you'll be getting your butt kicked, and you have a bunch on you, and you get down, you're like low health, and you put the shield on, they'll switch off you and they'll run off of you. It's not, not every time. Sometimes you'll just get smushed, but that's what it works. That's what it's for, and that works. So where you put that shield on, you get that increased armor. And then I went with the slashing. That seems that most things just so that's why I went with. And then usually I did my health 60 while hexed, because usually if I'm going to put this on, that means I'm in trouble. If I'm in trouble, I'm probably hexed, which means if I put this on, I get 60 health, and it helps me. That's yeah, that's my weapons. So that's my skills and my weapons that I do. I will do my signature capture on my Technobobble and put it in, do that for my signature capture if I need to. There's a couple that I like to use. I don't have an enchantment removal, which I could have. I was noticing the only things that I really needed to remove an enchantment for, more than just having it on the heroes, is if you're fighting like an obsidian flesh or something that's immune, in which case they're already immune and you can't take it off. At least that's what so it wouldn't work for me. So it's like they would get the spell immune, and then I would try and use the enchantment remove, and it says you can't remove enchantment because they're spell immune. And it's like, okay, well, I don't need this on my bar. I can have the hero do enchant removal. I don't need to like babysit that. So I don't have enchant removal, but you could. Very worth mentioning. Shatter enchantment here. Backfire is good if you know you're gonna do like a burst against casters. Normally I don't have to because normally the bigger reason also is I don't want to kill one caster. Usually you're fighting a group of casters, and you go in and you stop the one. That's fine. I can stop the one with a move like a dwarf. But it's all the casters at once. This will AoE. This dazes in a group. So this will daze the entire party as long as you hit the one in the middle, with the adjacent, then it will get the whole group. So that's how I did this to stop entire caster groups. It worked very well. Okay. Moving into the monk. A monk on my team, yes. A lot of people don't like the monk. A lot of people have taken out the monk. I love the monk for the unyielding aura. The hero uses Unyielding Aura so well. If you read Unyielding Aura too, it actually just gives you 50% more healing. All these other things will give you like more healing, a big heal, but nothing else just gives you the revive with just 50% more healing. Well, that's great. Yeah, I like my Unyielding Aura. The reason I have the monk in my team is because I will jump in and charge in, and sometimes I'll die if I'll just go rush a group, and all the warriors will hit me, and they'll hit me with their energy drain, and the rangers will shoot me, and sometimes I'll just get bursted real quick. The monk helps with that. I did actually adjust the monk's weapons because of this. I did try the soul reaping on the monk's wand, and I ended up switching it back after using it for a little bit because I was getting bursted. All of these are very quick heals. So my monk is never going to be tied up casting for more than a second. These are all one, except for this signet. But if she only uses this if she needs energy, and if she needs energy, then she's got to use it. So, but yeah. All of these are very quick heals, very big heal numbers. Yeah, I like the way I have my monk set up, just for big heals. Big heals all around. She'll heal minions. This is the way I do my minion healing. Obviously, you have your Blood of the Master, but this is my healing ring. So heal adjacent to creatures. It doesn't heal the enemies. It does only heal your teams, but it heals all of your caster, your necromancer minions, and everything. So this helps a lot. Just that healing ring. This is better than the heal party, in my opinion, that I saw because it only costs the 5 mana. I went with everything because I never wanted my monk to be so to speak. Even though I've got a BIP, and I did try the soul reaping, and she was an anyway. But my monk is rarely because of that. And the monk is usually always full mana. Let's see. Monk armors. Oh, I didn't do this on the Mesmer. I'm sorry. This is a little particular. I do want to make sure I go through all the armor. Sometimes I have put a lot of thought, or I put a lot of time into the armor things as well. So my head on the Necro is the plus 15 armor while activating skills with the domination, and then my double health on my chest to get the most with the plus 15 health, plus 10 health here, and then the armor plus 5 while recharging, fast casting, survivor for the health, and then my prodigy. So I only have 2 prodigies, and then I've got the armor plus 15, and then I have 2 health ones. I do want my health to be a little bit more. I could change those off. I could change those off of health, but my health is only 600 with the cupcake. No, ma'am, about 500. So there is a logic as well to the health that I'll mention. if you look at all the health of my heroes, so I'm at 600, pretty tanky. My monk is 500, my bip is 550, my mini master is 500, my ST is 475, panic mesmer 475, e-search mesmer 500, and elementalist is 500. I specifically try to keep these two lower health to make it so mobs want to try and attack these. It's not like a guarantee or it's not like perfect, but it does work a little bit. So sometimes she will die first because she's got the 475, but you know, so that's kind of, you know, that's my strength gauge, so to speak. Or my bit can sometimes die just because he's sacrificing the 33% health all the time. Sometimes he can get attacked as well, but having the ST low will make it so they'll go and try and attack the ST more, and if they're attacking the ST, then the ST is getting benefits from spirits, or if they're attacking the spirits themselves, that's a double. If the mobs are just only attacking spirits instead of players, and they're just attacking the spirits that are meant to be just tank spirits, this is the ultimate win. She can create more spirits. She can create many more spirits all the time. She's very good at that. If they're only attacking spirits, this is why I want her low health. But, yeah. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I mentioned all this. I know there was a lot in this one, but yeah, this was the every small thing I could think of. I wanted to do it all at once. So I believe that's about the Mesmer wrapped up. I already started on the monk. Monk is the 40-40. I was noticing when I switched off the 40-40, I was dying more, so I switched it back, and I'm dying less now. Healing prayers with the armor versus. Let's see, which one did you hear? Oh, I did do armor versus elemental, just because the casters. It's just flat too, so you don't have to be buffed. So this works at the start of the combat. So my monk is always gonna out heal anything once the combat is going. Usually, you know, unless there's a lot of mobs. But once the combat's going, we're gonna be fine. It's just that initial burst. So that elemental damage helps with that initial burst. And you got your survivor with your health, armor versus elemental. So it's not everywhere, because you still want to have some health. I still need to have her have the most health. So she is at 500. So she's more than everyone else but him and me. So she is rarely attacked. Just with that 5 health difference, that is on purpose. Just to get her a little bit more health. They're less likely to attack my monk. I want them attacking anything else but the monk, because the monk can now heal any damage they do. If they're attacking spirit, that's the logic. But yeah, so just checking on each monk skill. All of these are all 5 mana or less. My monk doesn't really go. This works really well because sometimes you'll have a battle that will go for 1 minute or 2 minutes, and you're just like 3 minutes of actual straight fighting mobs. You go into Slaver's Exile hard mode or something like that, and you just have really long fights. So my monk doesn't go in those fights, but I can still get healed and just still keep powering through the whole time. Bless Signet is very good. It's that 10-second cooldown, and it gives you 21 energy. Yeah, my monk is rare. I've never seen my monk get out of energy. It's great. My Duena's Kiss is good. So this is the extra health for each enchantment or hex. So this is really big heals on that 3-second cooldown. You can get really big healing out of this. So all of these are low mana and kind of low cooldown. Patient Spirit is a double healed. No, it's only 1 heal, but it is the enchantment also. But this is a very good heal. It's 126. I get she'll heal with that all the time. My Mend Ailment. So this is my condition removal. It's the 5-second cooldown, 5 mana. This is really good. My other condition removal is in my ST. So between the two of these, that's my condition removal for my crippled or my, stuff that really stops me. This is where that comes in. And the hero is great about using this. That 3/4 second cast time, 5-second cooldown. You'll be going around, you'll get hit by a trap or something, and the hero's already cured you. Like, you'll get hit by the CC and the hero cures you immediately. It's great. The Cure Hex, kind of similar. I do have the double Hex removal, because usually if you're fighting enemies that are hexing, they're doing a lot of hexing. You're not usually hex just like 1 or 2 hexes at a time. You usually hex on your whole party, or you're hexed all over. So I do have the double Hex removal. But this is good because it heals when it does it. So usually if they're hexed, they're lower. They're not full health, so it gives them full health. This is my healing ring instead of the heal party. or the heal area. So I didn't like the 10 mana on this, and then the 5 cooldown means that the monk is just gonna themselves. Because usually this is like, you know, you don't, when you do a healing ring and do 190 healing everywhere, probably most of that healing is wasted. If most of that healing is all effective healing, then you're probably in trouble. You know, you're in trouble. Usually when you do AoE heals, most of the healing is all wasted. So I just need a cheap AoE heal. I didn't like that this one was the 10 mana. You know, she can get herself just using heal area over and over, and healing ring helps with that. I just really need to keep the minions alive. Oh look, we started a battle. Here's my empathy. So, do the Chaos Storm. So they're still moving around. But I'm just on top of the cliff. It's fine. Okay. And then I've already talked about the unyielding aura a lot, so definitely talk about the monk a lot here. A lot of people won't run monk. I love the monk. I love when I go in and mess up and I get hit by a bunch of damage all at once, and I've used up some mana. Oh my goodness, what's my team doing? She's not in range of the spirit, so she died. She's not in range of anyone, so she died. But she was already alive. You see that? So she died. That was the perfect example, actually. She's already full. She's already back up, and she's full mana. So this is the. If you notice, when all the res in the game will res, and they have like 0 mana or like 25% mana, and I thought that was so dumb. So I wanted to make sure that I had the best res, and this is the best res in the game. You'll die, and then it's like before one tick even happens, you're already on top of the monk and back alive, and you have a little DP at the top, and you don't even realize what happened because it's just so fast. You'll be instantly healed. It's the 10-second cooldown, so it's really fast. You can have people dying in your party like kind of over and over, and the monk will just keep bringing them up. It doesn't matter. The monk will just be like, oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're fine. So this works great. I love my monk healing. A lot of people won't run monk because it's arguably not needed in a lot of content because it's not hard enough and you don't take enough damage. But I like the monk for the, if I ever mess up, it's got that res. I don't know. So that unyielding aura is pretty good, and I like the amount of heals on monk. I can get in a lot of oh crap situations and be fine. So okay. And this one, most of the others are all going to be on the +5 soul reaping, but the monk is still on the 2020. For my BIP, BIP is pretty standard. I didn't change this a whole lot. You know, this is one I picked up and just pasted this in. I did give my BIP the res, so my BIP has the second res on the team, with the first one being the monk, and that's all the reses I have. I have the scrolls if I need, if I'm in a pinch, but you know, sometimes you know, but usually this is fine. Just have the BIP, because if the BIP is resing, that's fine. And he's already doing a lot of the managed sacrificing and everything, so this is good to have it on the BIP. And then for my BIP also, this is, you know, you want to keep your BIP full health. I made my BIP super tanky. So I ended up only having to do 2 blood magic, because if you notice up at 3 blood magic, it doesn't give you an extra pip of the energy regen. So, oh, you can only change it in the town. But if you go down from 13 to 12, that's when you get the +5. But if you go up above 13, it doesn't really do much. So I did mine in, yeah, this is how I set mine up. Just with the 13 blood magic is all you need. Just wanted to make sure to mention that. That gives you the +6 energy regen. That puts you from, so my 4 bips, and he gives me that, and I'm at 10 bips, so I'm maxed. So even going up to having +7 doesn't help me, because I'm already maxed at the 10. So I just need him to have the +6. And then he's got the rest and the restoration magic for the heals. So BIP is pretty straightforward. Most of the time they're holding the item, so the BIP's weapon doesn't even matter. I figured the logic, and this is a pretty standard weapon as well. You just get the 20% enchant, just to help for when they're not holding a weapon. Then the BIP lasts longer. Usually they're holding their urn though, so this doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter. So that's the BIP. The BIP is pretty straightforward. So, well, unless you don't know how it works. So this is an enchantment spell. For 10 seconds, you can cast this on your ally, and it gives them energy regen. This is one of the coolest skills in the game. Everything else does healing, whatever, and this one gives you energy, so you can cast more. It's great. So you have whole teams that will be built just around like your BIP, and just being able to have this guy give you full mana or full energy regen just to use your spells the whole time. So yeah, that's what the BIP's for. And he gets, so it's 33% to do it of his health, and then he just gets healed up the whole time. So he's got a lot of self heals. So he's hurting himself to give the team mana, and then he's getting healed back from the team. That's the monk helps with that too. So it just works really well for that. My team is pretty good at staying alive. Usually it's these two Mesmers would only really get in trouble. Okay. Alright, moving on. This is my minion master, my necromancer. So your flesh golem. I do have the spawning power 5. I used to run the +1, so that's what you would run on here before until there was the option for spawning power. The spawning power 5 does work for your minions. So if you read spawning power, it says creatures you create or animate have more health. So this just makes your necro minions that much tankier with 5 spawning power. Way better than the +1 20% of the time. So this works on all your minions. So that spawning power is actually really good for the minion master specifically. That's a huge buff. The minions are a lot tankier. Well, I don't know how much tankier. 20% tankier? Yeah. With that. So that's great. And then with my Death Magic and Soul Reaping, my minion master is, I set it up with only the Animate Bone Fiend and the Flesh Golem. This can be pretty standard. Sometimes you'll have the Vampiric Horror one. I didn't like having the melee minions because they were just like, they would just go in and die, and I didn't like, sometimes they'll do melee minion bombers. I didn't necessarily need like the bomber because I just wanted to have all these Bone Fiends. You can get the 10 Bone Fiends in the Golem, or the 11 Bone Fiends in the or yeah, it's 10 Bone Fiends in Golem, and then they'll just all the Bone Fiends will walk up to a mob and they'll all auto attack at once, and it's just like the Hydras in StarCraft, and they just whatever they're attacking will die. So that's really big DPS from these Bone Fiends. The Minion Master's very high DPS. Once you get all these minions up, a lot of damage. Blood Master will heal all the minions. They'll sacrifice health to heal the minions. Pretty important skill. She's using it right now to just keep the minions alive as I'm just chatting. The Signal Lost Souls will give her health and energy on the 8-second cooldown. I used to not run this one and the Gaze, but she would die. And anytime your minion master dies, you lose all the minions, and she's got to start over, and all the minions also become hostile. And if sometimes the only reason she would die is because you're in a pinch, and if you're in a pinch, and then it gets worse because all your minions are now against you. Yeah, I didn't like that, so I didn't like having my Necro die. So I switched to have it to where she has the 2 lifesteal skills, and then she doesn't really die now. It's really only like my Mesmers that will ever kind of be, die first. My Necro doesn't die, or my Mini Master doesn't die. My BIP doesn't usually die. My Monk doesn't die. Just the way they're set up. The Defile Flesh. This one is very unique because this is one of the only heal cuts in the entire game. I spent maybe at least for Necro, I don't know. I spent a lot of time looking around for ways to reduce enemy healing. To stop like monks or just like regen, or a lot of, so anytime you're in hard mode, you're fighting enemies that have health regen as well. I think it's 7 bips on the bosses. So this helps with that. So having only 2/3 health from healing when you're fighting a group or a comp that is just doing a lot of healing, having all of that healing reduced to 2/3 is, in theory, a lot of effective damage. If that's actually denying all the heals, that's a lot of damage that's not having to be dealt by the rest of your team by denying those heals. It also helps, so I combine this with the heal cut. So the heal cut works everywhere. It works against all monsters that can be hexed. So that's great. So if there's no, sometimes she already has 11 monsters and they're all full health, so she doesn't have anything to do. She always has something to do with this and with the weakened armor, because the weakened armor is the cracked armor in my build. So this is where I get cracked armor. Sometimes she doesn't use it. Sometimes cracked armor isn't even used, but really the cracked armor will only come in if I'm fighting a really tanky mob, or like something that's really tanky that I would have to put a lot of effort into killing, in which case then she'll start using it once it's a longer battle anyway. And then the Masochism just for the +2 death magic. That one's pretty standard. The Mini Master just has to run that. It's cool because it gives the enchantment though, so any bonuses that work with enchantments work with the Masochism. That's my Mini Master, the Bone Fiends, and the Flesh Golem. I didn't talk about the Flesh Golem, sorry. The Flesh Golem is my frontline tank. So I don't have a. I've got the spirits a little bit. I've got the bone fiends a little bit. But this Flesh Golem will run up to the mobs, and you'll have mobs and casters that will just attack this Flesh Golem. And the Flesh Golem can be revived from its own corpse. So if you make one and it dies, they can use that corpse and res the Flesh Golem again. So you need one, and you can leave you can leave it for 24 hours, and your hero will just still have the same Flesh Golem. So that's, once you get one, you've always got it, so to speak, as long as they just remake it. It can die, like it can get killed, then you just resummon it. But this is my frontline tank. Yeah, Flesh Golem is great. Flesh Golem is awesome. I love he'll go up and he'll do a lot of damage. He'll swing and he'll kill like mobs all the time. Level 29 Flesh Golem with the 18 death magic, with the masochism bonus. I think it was. I did need to get it up to 18 to make sure they would get the 29, because there's like the breakpoints. Okay. A little bit longer. Hopefully, not too bad. We'll get this wrapped up with the last 4 here. So this is my ST. This is my Ritualist. The ST is the best or strongest. This is the best defense in the game. Full stop. Like this is where people feel invincible. This is where people walk through the whole game and say the game is easy. ST is awesome. So the way ST works, or soul twisting is what it stands for. It makes it so when you use a spirit, it doesn't put it on cooldown. So normally spirits are 45-second cooldowns, really, really long cooldowns. So you have your shelter, create a level 13 spirit, and allies within its range cannot lose more than 10% max health. That's crazy. Anything in the game, any boss, any attack, they have to, the only way they can kill you is if they do lots of attacks that are high damage. Because if they just do slow, high damage attacks, they can never kill your group because it's reduced. You combine this with the Union as well, so this actually just reduces the damage by 15. So it's already reduced to maximum 10% and then minus 15. With Guild Wars damage, that's pretty significant numbers. That's very, very significant numbers. So you have, a lot of times just with these two, you can sometimes have creatures that will attack and they'll hit zeros, because it's just reducing it that much and then minusing 15 off of it. And then the ST makes it so every 15 seconds they can renew this, and so they can, if this Union spirit dies, so the spirit will die after it takes, your party will take like 20 or 30, it just depends on the health of the spirit. Your party will take like 30 ticks of damage, and then the Union dies, which means the Union stopped 15 times 30 damage overall from throughout your whole party. Then the soul twisting ritualist will just resummon it, and you just do it again, and you just do that, and that's how that build works. So you're constantly, the whole time, as long as you're in range of the spirits, and this is so you can be vulnerable when you're approaching groups or when combat is starting, or where you'll move, and so you can see the spirit here. If you move out of range of the spirits, like you're fighting and then you come over here to fight a different group, and then the ST hasn't renewed the spirits, those spirits are back there and you do not have these buffs right now. So now you're vulnerable. Now you can be killed because you don't have these shields. But then, after a moment, she'll get them up again. And you have to make sure you're far enough out of range of the old spirits as well. So if you only move a little bit, then the ST will be like, oh, we're in range, we're fine, I don't need to do it. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are fighting. If you just move a little bit or move to a little bit part of the battlefield and you're out of range of these spirits, you've lost your shields. So you gotta either move to where the spirits are or move far enough to where the ST is out of range of the old spirits so she casts them again, or you can manually do it. You gotta be careful with manually doing it because you'll mess up her timing, because it only works for 3 spirits, which means, it's, so you can only do 3 spirits every 15 seconds, which is pretty good. That's the amount of damage reduction that can potentially do is crazy. But that's how this build functions, so to speak, is this 15-second cooldown on this soul twisting makes it so she can keep these spirits up 100% of the time, and these are shields. These are great. And this is your displacement. This is your block incoming attacks. This helps with your rangers. This helps with your melee and your dervish. Yeah, this is the third one. So these three are the shield spells. So 10% damage, 10% maximum damage, minus 15 damage, and 75% chance to block. Block is 0 damage also. Block is just null. Block is great. So that's how the ST works. This setup, this defensive setup is so powerful. This is like the defensive and most powerful way to play the game. Because you'll have all these spirits out and your party will be getting wrecked, and you'll have warriors doing their thing, and you're in battle, and she's just refreshing all these spirits just over and over and over, keeping all this going. You can be vulnerable, or this is where you can die, is if you have so much damage coming in where all of these spirits die. She doesn't have the soul twisting up because it hasn't been 15 seconds to refresh it, and all your spirits die. That can be where you're vulnerable. That's where but that's it. You know, that's where the build, that's the limit, so to speak. Otherwise, that's so powerful. That's how that works. The Armor of Unfeeling skill makes it so all the spirits take 50% less damage too. So that's just part of that combo, is where you'll drop all 3 spirits and then Armor of Unfeeling the spirits, so they all take 50% less, and so they're all stronger spirits and they last longer. And then Dissonance. This one is an interrupt, actually. I haven't really looked at that one for a while, but yeah. Just a spirit that auto attacks and interrupts. So if it's just auto attacking an enemy elementalist, it will never cast Firestorm, in theory. So it's just an extra interrupt. Boon of Creation, this is energy regen. And also the enchantment, so she's got 2 enchantments at once. It's kind of good to be running an enchantment, because there's a lot of things in the game that will say if you're enchanted, you get an extra buff. So it's worth mentioning when you have those enchants. And then Spirit's Gift is the... sometimes I'll switch Spirit's Gift for Res, but Spirit's Gift is actually a very, very, very good condition removal. So all allies near that creature gain health, so it's a small heal every time she makes a spirit, and then you lose a condition. So if you've got an enemy elementalist dropping burning on your team, and she's just refreshing her spirits, she's just cleansing the burning over and over. Or cleansing, if you have an enemy ranger or any spider or something just doing auto attack with poison, she's cleansing the poison every time she does a spirit. The condition removal goes crazy here. Combine that with the Monk's Mend ailment, and that's my 2 condition removals. And this is great. Like, you can, as long as you're in the spirits, as long as you're in your spirit bubble, this is how this works. You get your conditions removed. You get shields where you can't take more than 10% of your health, and in one hit, you get 15% 15 reduction and the block chance, all just by being in the spirits. The defensive potential from the ST is crazy. This is what like makes this is how everyone is so confident playing the game, is because of this. But anyway, for the ST, for the weapons, the Soul Reaping here is important. So this will just make the excuse me, not the same point with the spawning power. The Soul Reaping is the energy regen. So this is the 5 energy. Her limit also as well is energy, so she's only got the 40 energy to work with, and everything here is pretty expensive. So even it does help. The soul twisting helps with 15. I was double checking that. It makes it so it's all the spirits are like usable to spam. So she's casting all of these at 10 mana each, and then she gets a little bit of energy here. So the Boon of Creation. So every time she makes one, she gets 5 energy. It costs 10 energy, so she only has to make up the 5 energy. Part of it comes from the Soul Reaping. That will give you 5, and then the BIP. Sometimes we'll cover her as well. Yeah. Did I? Oh, I did not touch on the. Touch on these armors. I touched on the BIP because he wants just the most health possible. Like everything. I didn't even give him armor. Really. I gave him that 1 armor while holding an arm item on his feet. And I think that's it. Oh, here's 1 as well. For the most part, I needed him to be really tanky, because what would happen is if he's at 500 health and then he does the 33%, suddenly all the mobs switch to attack him because he's low health and low armor, and they just squish him. So if I help him get a lot more max health and he sacrifices some, that was helping him to be targeted less. He still will get targeted because he'll drop himself down to half health all the time using the bips. So he can still be a target, but it helps. So I try to make him as tanky as possible. The Necro Armor, this is pretty straightforward. You just do the armor with more minions. and then you do make sure you have one of these that is the 25% reduced corpse summoning time. Make sure you have one of those. And then armor for the ST is just the armor while you have spirits. You do that on all 5 of them because she usually should, she usually should have all spirits at all times. This is your communing, health, spawning power, health, health. Okay. Into the Mesmers. Mesmers just have the, it used to be the 40-40 set. I did switch them to the Soul Reaping also, just to get that extra energy, which I do like. That extra energy from the Soul Reaping is great. It's been great that they've added that. So I do the armor while recharging on all these. Usually she's recharging a lot of skills, so if she can get from her base 60 armor up to like 70 armor or 75, 80 armor is the same tankiness as the warrior, so she can get up to 70 or 75 just by casting spells. That's pretty good. That's what you do for the Mesmer. These are very expensive ones for that reason. Okay, so domination, fast casting, health, and the other Mesmer is the same armor as well. The same +5s all over. Oh, I did do the activating skills in my head for this one. For my first Mesmer though, so this is the Panic Mesmer. The Panic Mesmer also helps with the caster groups. Caster groups is really the only thing I'm afraid of. I'm very strong against melee with the ST. With the way most of the time melee can't get a lot of attacks out. They can do a single target, only a couple attacks at a time, so the melee can't even out damage the power of the shields. It's really just the casters that you play against. Panic is awesome. If you have Panic actually get where the Mesmer casts Panic correctly and stops the group before just something happens where they cast it on the wrong mob, or they don't cast it in time, or they cast it in, or just anything. As long as this Panic goes off and stops that group of mobs, you'll have like the pack of Wind Riders that will all group up, and she'll panic the Wind Riders, and they'll all interrupt each other. And you'll see them get the 2 little exclamations above their head, and they're all just going interrupting each other in the whole group. Just this one skill, if you can. The idea is to have the Panic combined with my own Techno Bobble, and as long as one of us get this ability off, then that caster group should be shut down with either one of these. So I was trying to figure out how to get a skill that was as good as Panic with keeping E-Surge, and that's where I landed on Techno Bobble. But Panic is very good. So when a foe hex with Panic uses a skill, everyone else is interrupted. So if one person gets it off, they all get canceled, and then someone else will start casting again and get it off, and then it will cancel all the other group as well. Sorry, that was kind of a weird explanation, but anyway. Oh, okay. I'll do a little water. For Mistrust here, I wanted to keep this one on the hero. I didn't like using Mistrust because it was only 6 seconds. I do like Mistrust more than Backfire more though, because if they go to cast something on one of your allies, anytime they're casting something, they're going to be casting it on one of your allies. Usually, this is how I've always seen this work. And then it just does 106 damage AoE. The Backfire was single target. The Mistrust is the AoE. The Mistrust is only 6 seconds though, but usually for the hero, so it's got the 12-second recharge, and then the hero, sometimes it will be halved. So that's good to give the hero. Sometimes the hero can keep that up. And so as you can have the whole group with that up. Sometimes. There's a lot going on here. But Cry of Frustration we already talked about. I run the Cry of Frustration. It's got that AoE interrupt. It's good to have multiple interrupts across your whole team, because if you're in the middle of casting something, you cannot interrupt. If she's casting Panic or casting Mistrust, she cannot cast Cry of Frustration. So I want one of the other Mesmers in the team to be able to do that interrupt. So you want to have multiple interrupts across your team to make sure if there's coverage, or if they're doing something, they can still do it. So here's your Cry of Frustration to interrupt. Power Spike is casting a spell, does big damage. I like this one because it's cheap. It's only 5. And that's 126 damage. It's pretty good damage as well. My Unnatural Signet, we talked about the Unnatural Signet. It enables you to do stuff while you're out of mana, which you don't want to be just auto attacking on Mesmer. That's really really weak. So this lets you play and at least be able to do something. And then Power Drain is the mana regen for her. So I gave her the option, or gave this one for the be able to get energy back. Low mana cost on this one as well, just the 5. So normally they're not using these. These are just on the bar, not being cast until there's something that they can interrupt. So it doesn't the cool or the recharge time sometimes doesn't matter as much on your interrupts because you have to have something to interrupt to be able to use it. Just depends on what you're fighting. And then the Waste Not Want Not, if the foe that I'm attacking doesn't do anything, they get energy. So she's got the 2 energy recoveries with the Soul Reaping as well. So just spamming all of these 10 abilities all the time. And then the Enfeebling Blood, this gives me a weakness option if I need to. I wasn't sure, because you want to have, or the idea is you want to have you want to cover every condition, or as many conditions as you can across your team that you can inflict on the foes. So I've got like the daze, burning. On the spot there, I can't say it on the spot. But anyways, okay, yeah, I've got my heal cut, my cracked armor, my weakness, my daze, my burning. That's already 5 out of the 10 conditions. I think there's 10, like that's, so you want to be able to do all of them in some capacity. And my cracked armor, I don't know if I said that. But anyway, rambling there, hard, sorry. But the Enfeebling Blood helps do that. So it's the 10% health, that doesn't really matter too much. This is really situational, this doesn't have to be here. But I did land on having this ability here because you don't really need anything else going on here. I could switch in like an empathy maybe, or just put in like backfire, or maybe a shatter enchantment. I could do something like that, but this lets me have the option to have the weakness. The heroes are awesome with being able to know what they need to cast, so that's what this is here. This one, I could be wrong on this, but this, I've liked when I put this on, so. Okay. Other Mesmer here, same thing with the Soul Reaping. And we already looked at the armor. Okay. And then switching to this Mesmer's bar, don't have to go into these too much. To Unnatural Signet we talked about. Shatter Hex. This is remove Hex from a target ally. This is awesome because you combine this with a monk. She's actually got Hex removal. This is great. So in case the monk is like busy healing or spending cast, like doing something else other than removing hexes, she can also remove hexes. So if she like sees that an ally's hex, she can do that and then boom, do damage with it. Mistrust as well, so both of these have Mistrust. Usually we've got, I'll say maybe even try switching this one out, but it's been here so long. Energy Surge, same thing. Chaos Storm, we talked about Chaos Storm. The hero will just spam this and just kind of send it. That's fine. I want him to get the damage down and get in the same idea with removing the enemy's energy. Having the enemy at 0 energy is very powerful. And then Spiritual Pain. Target foe takes 79 damage and all hostile summon creatures. Yeah, that's spirits. Kind of forgot about that one. And then you cry frustration. This Mesmer has the, so I still was able to get the 16 domination magic. I did do just a little bit less fast casting, and then I got the command. So this one helps me do my fallback. For 8 seconds, all allies within earshot can run faster. You combine this one with the Elementalist, and you usually want to have 2 fallbacks. This helps it so my team can stay caught up to me. Usually I'm running around with a cupcake on, so I'm running around pretty fast. Or even if I don't have a cupcake on, this is the 33% movement speed. So I can be running around, and usually your heroes drag behind you, and sometimes get stuck, and they'll fall behind you if you're running really far. This helps your heroes to stay caught up, and the minions too. Sometimes the minions will still fall behind, but this helps. So you want to, when you do a good hero team, you want to have 2 fallbacks in your best teams or in your ideal setup, and this is how you get one. Just get that move speed. And then switch into the Elementalist. Sometimes people will like to do the Signet Spirits, and this one instead of an Elementalist. This is my preference with the Monk and the Elementalist both. Just having both of these. I've got my fallback. And then the Elementalist does big damage, and the Elementalist does the burning condition. The reason why the Elementalist is here is just counter the enemy's healing over time. or to counter their heal bips. So you'll have enemy heals that will do healing braids or whatever you've got going on, or especially against Necros, where Necros will do a lot of heal stealing, and this will negate that. Is they'll get burning, and burning is like -7 bips, I think. So you can use this to stop enemy healers, and that's why I like to have burning in this. And then with the Searing Flames, this is AoE between the Searing Flames and the Glowing Gaze. This is AoE, Searing Heat is AoE, Meteor AoE. So if they're just standing still casting, they're going to be smoked by my elemental, as my elemental is going to get them. But the reason why this is here is for the burning condition, to make it so sometimes if you're doing a lot of damage against a target, but they just have a lot of healing going on, then it's not really enough. So this, or a lot of healing bips, but they're just healing up a lot of healing, and then they do, and the monkeys, and then they're getting more heals and stuff. This helps in having them burning, so they're not usually healing over time. They're usually always taking damage over time from the burning. Okay, and then my glowing gaze. So this one is an energy restore if they're on fire. So this helps with Searing Flames, Glowing Gaze, and the Elementals can use this to stay up on mana. And then usually, so the 72 mana here because of the energy storage, and then with the BIP too. And Elemental Power, I've always liked Elemental Power on the Elementalist, just +2 attributes boosted. All your skills just do more, and the hero is pretty good about keeping this up. Lasts for 25 seconds, and it lasts for 10 spells. You usually can't even cast 10 spells in 25 seconds. Sometimes you maybe if he's like rotating these or, but this is kind of 100% uptime on the hero, and even when I use this personally. But Searing Heat, just big nuke AoE, so 5 seconds foes near this location. Same idea with like the Chaos Storm. Sets up for really big spikes when the enemy NPCs are just all grouped up. It's very effective. Meteor, you want to try to not have more than one overcast ability at a time on your bar usually when you're playing the Elementalist. That's my opinion. If you have 2 overcast spells, you'll just be overcast so bad. But the Meteor helps with the 30-second cast time. The 10 overcast is a little rough, but it's usually not too bad. I don't usually see my Elementalist getting himself too deep in the hole. 1, because combat doesn't usually last that long. And then 2, it's the 30-second, sometimes 15 seconds with the half cast is pretty good to recharge some of that overcast from that 10. And then your Fire Attunement and Arv Restoration. This is energy regen for the Fire Attunement, and then a little bit healing on the Arv Restoration. I think I took this off and he started dying more, and so I put it back on. And this Elementalist never dies. See, these never, because he's always in the back just casting whatever. This Elementalist never dies. He's got the Arv Restoration. He's fine. Yeah, and then I do the, because it's all about energy regen. As long as you're not stuck in a stalemate, then the soul reaping helps. If you're stuck in a stalemate, then you want your people to be 20/20 for more damage. If you're not stuck in a stalemate and you just need more energy to go faster, then that's where soul reaping helps. So that's why I switched all of the weapons out into soul reaping. Okay, that is a long video. I don't know if anyone, yeah. Let me see, let me just double check everything. We talked about the health thresholds on the hero. That is important, where I actually have the health threshold set at a certain point for each hero, or for my team, to make it so I want my Mesmers / my BIP, or ST, excuse me, to be targeted more. Sometimes for subbing in champions, if I need to, I'll swap in the other Mesmer with the Ineptitude, so I'll do my Gwen. Check that. Video's a little bit too long. So I've got my Gwen option, and she's got my Ineptitude. Something like this. Ineptitude blinds. Blind is the strongest way to shut down melee, because it's 90% miss. It absolutely destroys melee. So as long as this is properly casted by the Mesmer, this will absolutely destroy melee comp. So usually don't have, melee is the strongest, or melee is what I'm strongest against, so I don't usually have to get more strong against melee with this Mesmer, but if I need to, I can switch out the Elementalist for this one. Or the Signet Spirits as well. I don't actually have a Signet Spirit set up, I think. So I don't usually use that. I tried the Signet Spirits here. Yeah. In my experience, though, with the Signet Spirits, is all the enemies are dead before this even starts to get going. So if there was something that where you needed to fight for longer, where these spirits were actually going to do more, that would work. But like when I'm just vanquishing or going through most of the stuff, the spirits aren't actually doing a whole lot because the mobs are dying too fast. That's what I was kind of experiencing. In which case I prefer to have the minion master that just has all the minions up all the time that can run with the group and just do damage. So that's why I did the minion master over the Signet Spirits. I didn't like that if I was going faster I was punished because the spirits would just be so far behind. Okay. Okay, just double checking everything. I believe that's all I've got to cover. This is a bit of a long video. If anyone's still here, remember to like and subscribe and mention the algorithm. Okay. I think that's about it. I carry around the, I've got the golden eggs and the birthday cupcakes. Once you get a little bit set up, these are really cheap. Like, this is all really cheap stuff to get relatively, I think. So just having a stack of eggs and cupcakes, I run these 100% of the time. I run these anytime I'm playing the game, I just run both of those. And then if you need your DP removal for vanquishing or whatever. But that's about all I've got. It's covered all the weapons, all the skills that I do, and all the armor for everything. So this is the full setup that I do. I've done all the content, like it's not infallible. It can be wiped, but you can, as long as you can know how to play it just a little bit, you can use this to beat the whole game. So just wanted to get something like this up, and so I started with the original like Mesmerway template, and then I kind of adjusted mine over time. So this is the adjustments I've made over years. So I just wanted to kind of get something out like this and just kind of cover the changes I've done in case anybody wanted to set up a team like this. But thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.